Hello creators, thank you for joining me, and welcome to the art part with Miss Colleen. Today we are going to be exploring a little bit more the art element known as color. Specifically, we are going to be exploring analogous colors. Now, you may have heard the term analogy in the past, which is a type of sentence that compares two similar situations. Well, analogous, the adjective, describes things that are similar in a way that invites comparison. So we're talking about similarity and comparing. If we take a look back at our color wheel, we remember that we have primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Now, based on the definitions we just talked about, you might be able to deduce that analogous colors are colors that are similar in some way or invite comparison, and you would be right. Specifically, analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So red, orange, orange, and yellow, orange, purple, red, violet, and red, etc. Any three or so colors that are next to each other on the color wheel can be described as analogous. So for our exploration project today, the materials that we're going to need are a piece of paper, you can use a pencil if you like, but it's not really necessary, and our crayons, our nice colors over here. To start with, we are going to be choosing 3 colors for our exploration. For other projects, if you'd like, you can use more. Usually when we're talking about analogous colors, we're talking about 3 colors. So if you already have 3 colors in mind, you can go ahead and pick those out, but if you need a little bit of a guide, you can choose 1 color to start with. Let's say you want to start with, have your guiding color be yellow. You can pick either the colors that are going in one direction to get your 3, or you can pick the colors on the other side to get your 3, or if you like, you could pick the colors on either side of your guiding color. That's not absolutely necessary to have a guiding color, but it can be helpful to give you a place to start. I think for me, I've toyed with a couple of different options, but I think I'm going to go with my first idea, which was my favorite color in this box is the blue-green, and I think I will surround that with the blue and the green. You can pick any 3 colors you like as long as they are all next to each other on the color wheel, so we can explore how to use analogous colors in our artwork. Go ahead and take those colors out, and for this exercise you are not going to need those other colors, so I'm just going to push them out of the way and just use my 3 colors. Now for an artwork using only analogous colors, it can give you sort of a unified sense of a type of mood or a feeling for your piece. So if that's something that you discover as you are creating your artwork, that's something that you can really play with and lean into and explore. That's one of the exciting things about using a very limited palette, especially when we're talking about colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, are analogous colors. So for this project, we're going to be creating a landscape, which means any sort of outdoor picture of any type of thing you would find in nature. And it can have man-made objects in it as well. It can have structures or items or anything that you can think of. You can follow along with what I'm doing. If you have some other unique ideas, you can include them in your artwork as well. There's a lot of room for your own ideas in this piece, but it can be helpful to have a starting place. So if you'd like to follow along a little bit with what I'm doing, you are completely welcome to do so. Now, when I start a new piece of artwork, usually I like to go in with some sort of idea of what I'm doing. Not all the time. Sometimes I'll just start and see where it goes. But I think for this piece, I'm going to come up with a basic idea, and then I will see what different ideas come along the way as I'm doing it. I think for this piece, I'm going to do maybe a little bit of a mountain landscape with some trees. I think I'm going to have maybe a couple of trees on either side of my paper. I think I'll have some mountains going along the back. I think I'll have some sky above, maybe some clouds, we'll see. And I think I'll have a road somewhere in my piece, and maybe some sort of structure, maybe a house or a barn or maybe something else. We'll see. We'll see what comes up. But you can start by taking a second to have some ideas for how you want your picture to work. Like I said, it can be similar to mine, it can have some differences, but the main thing is we're going to be using only our 3 analogous colors to create our landscape. So whatever ideas come to you, you can go ahead and use those. But to start, I think I will choose one of my colors to begin my trees that I want on either side of my picture. I think for one tree, I think I will have, I think I'll make the trunk this blue-green here. Set these right over here where I know I can get to them. And I think I'll start with a tree right over here. Maybe a nice big trunk. We'll do like this. And we'll have a branch there. Maybe the other side of the trunk coming up here. And I think some of these branches are going to disappear in the leaves, so I won't draw the whole branch, just a few little beginnings of branches here. And then we'll let them disappear into the leaves. And maybe it branches off like that. And maybe like that. You know, maybe I'll put another one right over here. And I'm going to color in most of my tree trunk here. I'm imagining that my leaves are probably going to be a different color than my trunk, but you can use your analogous colors however you like. The interesting thing about using there are a lot of interesting things. One of the interesting things about using analogous colors is to find where those similarities come in and find where you can create a little bit of difference among your colors. Find the different ways that you can use your colors to tell the story of your artwork. I think I'm going to have it come down just a bit like that, and that's where it will meet the ground. Color a little bit more up into there. Here's one start of a tree. I think I'll do another tree, maybe a few more trees, but I know I'll do one right over on this side of my drawing. And let's make the other side come up just like that. I'll have a branch there. And maybe like that. Maybe a couple more branches. Maybe you're doing trees like I am. Maybe you're doing some mountains. Maybe you're doing a house. Maybe you're doing a lake. I don't know. Maybe you have ideas that I couldn't even come up with. Starting with one of your analogous colors and then moving on to the colors that are analogous to the color that you're using. There we are. Alrighty. And maybe I'll add a few more branches in there as I add my leaves, but I think that's where I'm gonna start. And I think for my leaves, I'm gonna start with the green, and I might add in some of these other colors. We'll see how it goes, but I'm gonna start with my green. And for my leaves, this is how I like to do leaves most of the time. I'll just do sort of a curly Q motion like that, but I'll try to keep one at a time so that it's not all curly Qs. And that's just one style. You can do however you like, but I like to do, it doesn't have to be super neat, but little curly Qs, little curly leaves coming off of those branches. And there we go. And as I'm doing my leaves, I do think I am going to want to add a couple other colors into my leaf space up in the tops of these trees here. Especially because if I put some of these analogous colors next to each other, they can kind of bring each other out a little bit. And instead of having just, it always depends on the effect that you want in your drawing. If I have all one solid color, like all of these green leaves here, they can just look like one single type of thing. Whereas if I put a few other colors in there, you can get something that might be a little bit more interesting to look at. Now, it all depends on where you want the eye to go when someone is looking at your drawing. I think I'll come over here before I switch colors and work on the leaves of this tree. Maybe you want to draw someone's eye to the leaves of your trees. Maybe you want to draw their eye somewhere else. One effective way of using contrasting colors, or even just different colors, is that can be a way to draw someone's eye to something particular in your drawing. And the easiest way to learn about that type of thing is just by trying it and then noticing what you are interested in or not interested in your artwork. Just try a bunch of different ideas. And if it doesn't work, then that's okay. You learned something. And hopefully you had a good time while you were doing it. That's why I like to do art. I'm drawing a lot of leaves. These trees are taking up a lot of space in my drawing, which I didn't really expect, but I think is kind of cool. I guess that shows I'm a little bit more interested in them than I thought I was. I do like trees, personally. And if you're already moving on to another part of your drawing, you can go ahead and do that. Or you can stick with me, hang with me in your trees. I like to put a few leaves in between the branches that I've drawn so that it looks like there's some depth. There are some branches behind these ones that have these leaves attached. You can do that. It's a strategy that you can use. So I've got some cool looking trees here. I like the way they kind of look like they explode a little bit like fireworks. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of my blue-green here. And maybe I'll just add a few sticks to really make it look like there are more branches in these trees. See how that starts to make it look like this tree is a little bit more three-dimensional. I think I'll do the same thing over here. You can make some of them thicker, you can make some of them thinner. That's a strategy for you. Just wherever you find a couple of blank areas, that's a good place to put a branch or a twig. I do think I'm going to put a couple of different colors, so I'm going to use my third analogous color just to add a few little contrasting blue leaves. Because I'm interested in what kind of effect that's going to give me. I don't know. Just an idea that I wanted to explore. There we go. Now, if I compare these two trees, I am interested in the way that adding the blue, the dark blue leaves made this tree look a little bit fuller. And it's not just because the leaves are closer together, although that is true. In this one, the leaves look more spaced out. But having that other analogous color, that similar color, gives it a little bit more, a feeling of a little bit more depth. So I think I'll do that on this side too, and then I'll move on to something that's not trees. Just scattering these here and there. There we go. Yeah, I like that feeling of depth. It's one way we can get an effect by using analogous colors. All right, next, I think I'm going to create the horizon of my picture somewhere back here. I might add some more trees later, but I'm gonna create the horizon and my mountains. I think I want my mountains to be this dark blue. So for the bottom of my mountains, I'm just gonna create a horizontal line back here behind my trees, somewhere off in the distance. Right across my paper. Now I think I'm gonna create some mountain shapes starting over here. Maybe the mountain goes up behind the tree. Maybe it comes down somewhere over here. Got a mountain there. Maybe it comes up here somewhere. Down a little bit. Comes back up behind this tree. Maybe it goes something like that. Maybe a little bit down and back up. It's a little bit of mountain going on. I think I want a little bit more of a peak right here. Sure. Now for this, I think I'm going to... I like the idea of this dark blue color sort of being different from my my blue-green tree trunks here. So I am going to color these in all this dark blue color. One of the things when you are creating an artwork with analogous colors like this is you find opportunities to create those differences in color. Since the colors that you're using are so similar, you can find opportunities to set them apart from each other, even though the artwork as a whole will have this one unified feeling or mood. You could do this with some different colors. You could color this mountain range. If you're doing a mountain range like I am, maybe it could start on one side with one color and then change into some different colors. Or maybe you could imagine there's a sun setting back here, so close by it's a lighter color, and farther out to the edges it's a darker color. There's some different ideas you can use if you like. Or maybe they get you thinking about some ideas that I haven't even considered. There we are. And I don't think I'm going to be super precise about coloring behind these trees because our trees aren't super realistic, or my trees aren't super realistic this time, so just a suggestion of the mountains behind the trees. I think that'll be enough for me. There we go. Maybe it comes up a little bit right here. And right here. There we go. There we are. Now, next, I think I do want to create a road. So I have my big bold trees here. And I have my big bold mountain range in the back. I think my road, well, let me think what color I want the main part. I think this is a field here, a big open field on either side of the road. I think I'll make that my green color. So the road itself, I think I'll make it this dark blue. You can choose whatever kind of strategy you want for that. Whatever ideas you have. And for my road, I think it'll start down here, maybe wind up towards this little low part of the mountains here. So maybe it comes down like this. An easy way to make it look like a road is going farther away from you. Maybe you already know this, but if this is new to you, it might be helpful. Make it super tiny, super narrow when it's far away. And then as it gets closer, it becomes nice and wide. Just like when things are close to you, they look bigger. Same sort of idea for a road. Super narrow, still far away, super narrow, super narrow. And then as it gets closer, gradually gets wider. There we go. Now, it is interesting when using a limited color palette, it can force you to make some more abstract choices. Whereas the colors that you're using might not be representative of how you would see them in nature. For example, I used these blue-green tree trunks, and I have this dark blue road. Kind of looks like a river since it's blue, but that's just because of the color palette that I'm using. Same thing might be true for you. Remember that whatever you want to represent in your painting, or drawing, however you want to represent it, is absolutely up to you. It is your artwork. I think to make it feel more like a road, I'm gonna add, I didn't really leave space for them, but that's okay. I'm gonna add some lane markings. And now it looks like an actual highway. And those are gonna get smaller as they get away until they disappear completely. Make this one nice and big. Now, I want to fill in my field here. I think I'll start by putting some grass details at the base of these trees, because I think we've got some long grass going on here. So you can keep adding whatever details you imagine to your drawing. Whatever nature things you can think of, or man-made objects or buildings. You go right on ahead. Or just stick with me. Get some ideas from what I'm doing. And I'm going to try to color this in pretty quickly so that we don't take up too much time. I always try when I'm coloring to color kind of in the same direction. If I want sort of an even look to whatever it is I'm coloring. If I want kind of a more abstract or chaotic look, sometimes I'll color in all sorts of different directions. I kind of want this to look a little bit more even. I know it's kind of messy. I kind of like that. But since I color kind of in the same direction, it gives it that even look. I'm starting to get kind of finished up here. I think I will do the same for my sky. And you know what? I'm going to go for a little bit of a... I think I am going to go for a little bit of a sunset effect. Put a sun right about here. I think for my sun, I'm just going to leave it white. Maybe I have one little part of my drawing that is white. I'm going to call that my sun. And then I will do a little bit of a coloring like that until I make it a little bit more even. And then I will just color the rest of the sky in. You can do your sky however you like if you have the sky showing in your drawing. Again, I'm just sort of coloring in the same direction. Maybe I'll do a light little coloring behind that tree just to get that sky color in there a little bit. Maybe you have clouds in your sky. Maybe you have birds in your sky. Maybe it's nighttime in your sky. Maybe you have an airplane. Or maybe you go in a completely different direction. Maybe there's a bicycle in your sky. Maybe there's a person in your sky. I don't know. Your ideas. Your ideas are your ideas. You can do whatever you like. And maybe as I'm finishing up, I'm going to add a few more bits of tall grass in my field closer, when they're closer to the viewer. Maybe I'll even add some flowers. And something like that. You can do that, or maybe you have a different way that you like to draw tall grass. A little bit farther away as they're farther away. Maybe a bush. Maybe I'll do a bush right here. Maybe I'll do... This one's a flower. And this one's a flower. You know what? I think I want a house right here. And then I'm going to be done. My house I'm going to do with my green-blue, blue-green. Just one little lonely house in the sunset. There's a little driveway coming off the road. And there you have it. There are just a few of my ideas for how to do a painting with only, or a drawing, excuse me, with only analogous colors. You can see how it has one kind of mood. There's no specific contrast that our eyes are drawn to. We have some differences in the colors of our trees, our mountains, our field. But overall, using just these three analogous colors, we kind of have this one single feeling of the whole piece. So I hope you have found some interesting ways to experiment with these analogous colors. I hope that that gave you some ideas of different ways that you can use analogous colors in your artwork. And I hope that you've had some fun today. And as always, remember to keep creating and keep sharing. And I'll see you next time.